And welcome to another episode of the Football Smack Talk Show. I am your host, Ryan.
I'm Eric.
And welcome in, everybody, to another wonderful Wednesday evening. It's a beautiful day out. In fact, it's probably the last good day we're going to have here for a little while, probably before spring, unfortunately. But we are here. It is Combine Week. All the hullabaloo starts tomorrow officially, but people have been kind of coming in all week, doing interviews, talking this, talking that. And certainly all the fun starts tomorrow, but we wanted to kind of talk and come here and maybe talk about some of our, favorite combine memories. Eric and I are combine junkies. Wasn't always the case, but
no, it's funny. At first, when they first started televising it, I didn't really like it. I thought I was always, I guess maybe because of the way I was preached to as a football fan, man, you're going to get these guys together in shorts and t-shirts and that's going to somehow decide whether or not they'll be good football players. How about we just put on football tape or watch them play football and determine if they're good.
Yeah, there you go.
And while I still, in some ways, subscribe to that, you can really improve or hurt your draft stock by how you perform at the combine. Because some of these things are it's measurables, and you have to take into account everything, the whole body of work. And starting tomorrow night, that's part of the body of work that you have to measure.
Sure. Yeah. Marshawn, the longest intro ever. Yeah, you're right. We don't have a funny or fancy intro video just yet. I'm not really good at that kind of crap. So the last time I had one, it took me quite a while to make, and I haven't had the time. But unfortunately, it's kind of part of the process when it comes to sharing the show out onto like Facebook groups and stuff like that. It takes a few minutes to kind of get all that out, but and we're not fancy enough to have our own producer, so
unless
not everybody can be, not everybody can be famous and have their, just walk into a podcast studio and just do podcasts like, athletes can and do,
right?
Or their wives even. We got to do everything ourselves, so. Do not say process. Yeah, sorry. I know it's.
Yeah, that's a trigger word around here.
It really is, especially considering how things are going. But we don't talk about it. We don't talk about them. They're a bunch of bums. Anyway.
I actually was talking with somebody real quick, and then we'll get back to the Eagles.
Oh, God. You're going to start talking.
Well, no. Wouldn't it be a great idea if we could just have Howie be just the GM of all of Philly sports?
No.
But I mean, okay, no. Yeah, I get why, because that would divide his interest away from
absolutely. I don't want him taking anything away from taking Eagles football 24/7.
If we could get 3 clones of Howie Roseman and have them run.
Have you seen the movie Multiplicity?
Yes, I have.
You saw how that
worked. I'd be fine with the
I think that's the situation we have.
In fact, I was going to say, maybe that is who we have running the 60s.
I think that's what we have. I think Howie's the original.
Sure.
The number 2 is clearly the Phillies because they're aggressive at least and go after. The third is the Flyers. They're just kind of, I don't know. They don't know what the hell they're doing.
Yeah.
They're trying. Right. And then the fourth guy is, well, I can't say those words anymore. But
the
20 years ago, I probably could. Yeah. But let's just say they are fully on the spectrum.
Yes, the challenged version.
Yeah, yes. Yeah. That's the Sixers.
So. Yes. So we already had that. Okay, never mind. Yeah,
we already had that. So
yeah.
But yes. Listen. The combine, you're right, was always one of those things when I was younger that was like, this sucks, like blah blah blah. And I didn't understand. The impact, and that was before I was, certifiable draft nerd. But now that I am, I tape it. I rewatch it, especially specific groups. And obviously, and I'll give mad credit to my main man Dibes, who has certainly helped kind of get me more into the draft process. In fact, one day, I hope me and him will be down, along with our other buddy from Birds of the Round Table, David, down in Mobile at the Senior Bowl one day. Apparently, from what I understand, as people like us, David has said he's been to the scouting combine. He says it's an absolute shit show. He said he hates it. It's too much.
Wow.
Yeah. Apparently, it's.
I want to go. I want to go to the.
Oh, obviously, I want to do the. I want to do the hat trick.
Yeah.
Maybe when the draft's not in Green Bay though, or Detroit, somewhere shitty. Somewhere nice.
Green Bay, though. I mean, I went to Green Bay in.
I'm going to go. I want to go to Green Bay next year for the game if it's early enough.
Right.
Don't get me wrong. That's
week one last year, which this year obviously won't be, but the last in 2007 went there week one. It was fantastic.
Right. That's what I would like to do next year. Yes. But anyway, but now that I am, I have a great idea of most of these players. Let's be honest. Mm-hmm. There are certainly some names in certainly some positions, and I feel like it goes each year where I will kind of almost, I don't want to say forget about a position, but if it's not important to the Eagles, I don't put a lot of time into it for obvious reasons.
Sure.
Like, I mean, quarterbacks right now, the last couple of years, obviously I know the names, I know who's who, but like after after like the top 10,
right?
Yeah, I know them, but do I know them? Do I feel confident if I had to, pick one over the other? No, because I don't spend enough time in it. But you get me a position like edge this year where I'm diving deep, linebacker where I'm diving deep, tight end.
You're always diving deep.
Well, you're right. Linebacker, that is one position. I don't care. I don't care if the Eagles have recreated, Dick Butkus, Singletary, and Chuck Bednarik in their heyday, and those are our linebacking core. And Urlacher and Patrick Willis are the bench players. I'm still going to look at all of the linebackers.
You will 100% always be a linebacker guru.
Just like you in corners.
Sure.
It's your position. And in fact, I would like to say, not that you need it, but congratulations to Eric Allen. Again, corner, great Eagle, finally getting into the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, well deserved. This is long overdue.
Yeah, absolutely. So Shell checking in. Hey guys, just dropping in. Have a good one. Appreciate it, Cheryl. As always. Your profile picture looks like what's that one comedian? I don't know her name. It looks dead on to your profile picture. I don't know. Maybe look it up. I don't know how you look that up, but
I was gonna say based on that description,
based on the information I have given you, there's no way you
look that up.
Well, you know her job.
You can give it a homework assignment, Cheryl. Good luck.
Yeah, you know her job. Anyway, so I feel like maybe, I don't know, how long do you think it's been where you've been die hard, draft, watch combine, pay attention? How long do you think it's been?
Jeez. So I'd figure probably since about 10, 11, maybe.
For the draft.
Yeah, for the draft. Now, watching the combine, I'm trying to think of the first year that I actually really sat down and watched it and actually enjoyed it. Now, like, I watched it for a couple of years there, but I'll be honest with you, didn't really enjoy it.
Right. I think
the production value.
The first one was over 20 years ago, and that's about when I say my draft kind of whatever
Your fandom of the draft.
fandom
Yeah.
took a significant bump
Mm-hmm.
because then it was like, oh, like before it was like, oh, you just kind of heard about this guy or that guy and
Sure.
you saw the measurables or whatever, and you could dive in and find it if you really wanted to in the early
I'll tell you what, the internet and YouTube has made, like, us armchair scouts,
Hey, that's a great plug for the Armchair Scouts.
yeah,
Tuesdays at 9 o'clock. Last night we did our top 5 D tackles or interior defensive linemen.
right.
Next week, tight ends. My favorite. Can't wait. Anyway, sorry. Go ahead.
But like that's really been a great tool for
Oh, absolutely. And all
for us. And that's
22.
really
And
yeah.
there's been a lot of great tools for the fan, if you will, or the non-media member or the non-professional to have access to similar tools that the professionals do.
Mm-hmm.
Even just simply having the combine televised does wonders for
There were some,
average
and there were
Joe.
some in the scouting community that didn't want the combine to be televised.
Yeah,
That thought that that was going to ruin their edge as far as being a scout. And,
I
like,
got that because
sure.
you're now having, you know, 10,000, 20,000, however many thousands more people that have that bug and that are interested and now are going to potentially try to break into said business.
Well, not only that, I feel like it creates that, like, but like in a market like Philadelphia. So, like, Howie Roseman has done a fantastic job over the last few years. But before that, man, there were some years where the Eagles had some big misses,
Big.
and like it was one thing to be able to stand out there and say to your audience and be able to pound the table and say, hey, our job is not easy. We had to
Right.
look at all these things. And now when it's all out there and all of us, like, the fan can go out and look and give our own projections and give our own analysis and say, hey, we think this guy would fit. Like a couple of years ago, Justin Jefferson, when the
Ugh.
fans were out there saying that we think he could be a great fit, and the Eagles, he's a slot receiver, and we wanted an outside receiver, and that's why we went out and got Jalen Rieger. And like there was a time where that would have just been like, oh well, I guess you missed some and you hit on some of those picks. Whereas now we can look at it and say, well, no, as fans, like we watched college football and we watched the combine, we watched pro days, we saw this process and we saw how, hey, Justin Jefferson's an elite talent. If you don't have a system that he can work in, it's time to replace your system.
Right. Yeah. No, absolutely. And listen, again, obviously it starts well before the combine, but the
Sure.
combine is, the last major. Obviously, there's pro days and whatnot,
But this is the
but
last time they all get
they're
together.
all right there.
Yeah.
And considering how Howie has drafted the last couple of years. Now, obviously, as you mentioned, there have been certainly some misses prior, but
Sure.
since 2001, Howie's been on.
Or 21. Yeah.
What did I say? 2001?
Yeah.
Oh, well, that would be a
For
lot.
25 years.
25 years. No, since 2021, Howie's been on quite the heater. You look at his draft picks, Devontae Smith.
Well, yeah, like we can say, okay, you missed on Jalen Rieger. Well, then you went out the next year and you got Devontae Smith.
Right.
So
Right.
it worked out.
Right. Next, second round, Landon Dickerson.
I'd say that worked out.
Say that worked out. Next, Milt Williams.
I'd say that worked out.
I'd say that worked out.
Yeah.
So the first 3 rounds, and I've been amazing.
Yeah, you could do it the last 3 years. You could do that.
Yeah. You look at the rest of the picks. Obviously not as great. Zach McPherson, sure. Injuries and kind of a busy room.
Yeah, but if you go up and down any
sure, obviously.
Yeah.
Marlon Tui to Piloto.
Yeah, that guy.
that guy, Taron Jackson, Jacoby Stevens, Patrick Johnson, Kenny Gainwell obviously was in there.
Yeah.
Many who,
I
you
mean,
know,
he was nice for what he
it
was.
was
He wasn't
serviceable.
supposed to
Yeah,
be a
absolutely.
starting back.
I
Yeah.
thought that was a great overall draft. You look
Mhm.
at 2022. You look at Jordan Davis. Now, a lot of people obviously, you're always going to be, you know,
You're going to be
rated or
compared to the
graded
guys you
on the
drafted.
player, the player you don't draft. But I think Jordan
Sure.
Davis, honestly, is a great player. I think he is a
Yeah.
great run defender. He clogs up a lot of space. He allows, Jalen Carter to do a lot. And I think
Mhm.
he allows a lot of people, on the edges as well to kind of do their thing. But obviously, you're only going to hear about Kyle Hamilton, and again, rightfully so. That would have been the pick
Sure.
there. But you also got Nakobe Dean out of there. You also got Cam Jurgens.
Yep.
I'd say right there, out of those three, that's an A. You also came away with Kyron Johnson, who's been serviceable. Grant
Mhm.
Calcaterra, again, serviceable. Um, could certainly have been better, but I think for the first 3 rounds, great. You look at 2023. You have Jalen Carter, Nolan Smith. I think that's worked out now that
You
Nolan
nailed it.
Smith
Yeah. You
has
absolutely nailed it.
been certainly
Mhm.
coming on very strong late in the season. You also grab Sidney Brown, Keely Ringo, and Moro Ojomo, who I
I
think
think
is
they've all been good
great.
additions.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You also grab Tyler Steen, who I think
Mhm.
potentially might have a nice role next year, but also a fantastic backup. Just one of those things where I think, unfortunately, things kind of got in the way, and just couldn't, beat out Mekhi Becton. But that's a good thing considering, how great this offensive lineman is. Hey, Ann, what's going on?
That's my aunt Ann. Thanks for
Oh,
checking in. Yeah.
there you go. Michael, the Philly Bulldogs, absolutely. Um, after those guys, sorry, I didn't. Tanner McKee. Tanner
Yeah.
McKee is a great backup quarterback, and
Absolutely.
I think, if need be, could slide into the backup role and be fine. Obviously, it's a little hard to grade anything from last year overall, considering it's only been 1 year. But
Sure. Yeah.
you did get 2 guys were finalists for Rookie of the Year, and Quinyon Mitchell and Cooper DeJean.
Yeah.
We had Cooper DeJean, who has saved his best for the last pick 6 in the Super Bowl.
On his
Quinyon,
birthday.
yeah, Quinyon had a couple of picks late in the season and in the playoffs. That's the future of our corners.
Yeah.
Flatten, they've been amazing. Again, there are Will Shipley, there's Trotter. There's a bunch of other people that certainly it's way too early to kind of see, but it seems like those 2 guys up front are going to work out just fine. So, like I
Even
said,
if you don't end up getting a whole lot out of some of those other guys that you just mentioned, like you still, you got 2 excellent corners out of that draft. I
right.
mean, that's a good draft. That's
Well, and now you have the opportunity to, if you want to let Slay walk,
right,
go elsewhere, you have that ability. You just, I would hope you keep Coop in the slot where he belongs.
Yeah,
You go ahead
keep
and you either
Isaiah
you
Rodgers.
let Isaiah Rodgers or Keely Ringo compete,
Right.
or perhaps you bring in somebody else, at a cheaper option, whatever. Either way, I think that would be great. But again, I also don't want to lose too much veteran leadership. When you think about it, you're losing Sweat, you're losing Milt on the line. If those 2 guys aren't coming
and
back,
Brandon Graham.
and Brandon Graham, there is no veteran leadership on that line.
Yeah, and look, I think part of what helped a development of a guy like a Jalen Carter has to be, I think, the veteran leadership of some of the guys we just mentioned, Milton Williams, Brandon Graham, and Josh Sweat. You have to believe that in meetings, in practices, like they were helping keeping Jalen Carter on focus, on point, in all the assignments. And you got to believe on game day they were helping keeping him focused.
Right.
When some guys would get chirpy, guys do that. And
okay. In saying that, does that not scare the crap out of you?
Yeah.
That if there is no veteran there on the line, that
you're counting on Jalen Carter to now be that guy, to be that adult
basically,
in the room. And that's concerning.
Him and Jordan Davis are the
And look, you're going to need them to step up into that role eventually. I just like eventually to not be 2025.
Exactly. Now, again, speaking of the line, a lot of people have been talking about the rumors of one Mr. Miles Percivis Garrett.
I love the use of the middle name there. And I love that middle name. That's a cool middle name.
I made it up.
Oh, okay. I was going to say, is that his real middle name? Because that would be fantastic if it was.
I just thought it would. It seems like a Percivis.
He looks like a Percivis for like the middle name. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Well, obviously. Nobody would be called that on the first name. But.
Nobody looks like a Percivis as their first name.
Yeah. And listen,
I thought you were searching for Miles Garrett middle name.
Oh no, I really should though.
Right.
Let me do it right now. Miles.
So let me ask you. I've heard two hypotheticals. One.
Lorenz. Lorenz. Lorenz.
Lorenz. Yeah.
I like
Miles
that.
Lorenz Garrett. I like it.
Listen,
maybe not as cool as Percivance, but
I'm sure. But listen, my point in bringing all that up was, it's not gonna happen.
No.
The chances. Listen, everybody can say, "Oh, the Eagles are going to be aggressive." Oh, the Eagles are. If the Commanders get involved, the Eagles are going to come in and make them an offer they can't refuse. I've heard it all too.
Cleveland's not dealing him. It would cost them too much against their cap to deal him.
Well, that's the thing. It's you got to look at that factor.
And how do you justify that to your fan base?
How do you justify that to an already losing fan base?
Yeah.
That you're, the star quarterback that you traded for.
And gave them a fully guaranteed
boatload of money. Has not looked the same since coming over from Houston, and from maybe it's because he hasn't been able to get a happy ending.
I was about to say, do you think part of it is he hasn't been able to get the right massages that he needs?
I think so, and that's so fucked.
We're such jerks.
But listen, he is not the Deshaun Watson that he was.
No.
And then you have the Nick Chubb injury, and he's not the same running back right now.
And it's such a shame because Cleveland thought, man, they were going to get Houston Deshaun Watson. They got Timo Deshaun Watson.
Yeah, they wish they got that version. But so, and you're right. Garrett has been a perennial defensive player of the year. Sure. Double-digit sacks pretty much anytime he wants it. But for the Eagles, let's not even think about Cleveland at this point. Right. For the Eagles, from what I understand, he is going to be 30 by.
Eagles not a big proponent of people over 30 years old.
Well, not only that, he also, is owed a lot of money, but you also have to realize that coming here, he's going to want a new contract.
Sure.
And let's be honest, there's not a ton. I'm not saying this wouldn't happen, but there aren't a ton of over 30 pass rushers that just continue to be dominant.
Right.
And so you're trading for a player whose best days are most likely behind them.
Yeah. I mean, you're basically trading thinking, even if he sells out and you're getting one good year out of him.
Right.
If
For the
you
amount
get
of
one.
money.
Right.
For the amount of money that he makes. Wouldn't and let's just say, what is it? It's like 25 mil, right?
Yeah.
And let's just say he gives you 15 sacks, right?
Sure.
Wouldn't you rather have two $12 million guys that can get you 8 or 9?
I would.
Considering that yes, you do certainly could use a veteran leader, which
Sure.
Garrett certainly would. But he hasn't always been the shining star of leadership.
No. And
He's
do we
had
have a
some
list
trouble.
of pending free agents, guys who you wouldn't have to trade for to go get you don't have to look it up right now, but I'm sure there is somebody that we could go and fill this role that we're going to ask Myles Garrett to come in and fill. And look, even if you assume he would give you the same level of production that he's been giving the Cleveland Browns, which I think is a rough assumption to make.
Sure.
But even if you get that, what are we going to have to give up to go get him? One, both financially and draft capital and
Right. You also have to factor in the draft capital. Now, listen, the top names, I guess, if you will, Khalil Mack. Now, granted, he's 34 years old. Hassan Reddick, he's going to be 31.
Mm-hmm.
Matt Judon, he's going to be 33. DeMarcus Lawrence, he's going to be 33. Preston Smith, he's going to be 32.
All these guys, they would only be getting 1-year deals anyway.
Potentially. You have, Josh Sweat, who's going to be 28. You have Chase Young, who's going to be 26. You have
Chase Young intrigues me.
Yeah, he sure does. Jerome Baker, who's going to be 28. I'm just looking for under 30 guys now at this point. Cleveland Farrell, it's going to be 28. Yeah, that's oh God, Derek Barnett. Aziz Ojulari, gonna be 25.
That name intrigues me.
Yeah. So there are certainly names to be had.
Sure.
And listen, I don't know if you sign somebody like a Khalil Mack, whether or not he's going to make that that much money. But yeah, he'd probably be a 2-year deal. But I'd rather bring in somebody, like a Chase Young.
Sure.
And where he's gonna get maybe 12, 13 mil. Maybe you go after, somebody like a Jerome Baker or Marcus Davenport, and you add multiple pieces, and then you're going to draft, multiple pieces.
Well, think about it. You already said Brown retirement, Josh Sweat leaving.
Here comes Mr. Shake his hand at the cloud. Phil from
is he going to tell the kids to get off his lawn?
Yeah, he would. He absolutely would. That's who Phil is. He doesn't like
thanks for the support, Phil.
He doesn't like going to games. He'd rather sit at home and watch the game. Which I respect to a level, but to never. There's something about going once a year, feeling the atmosphere. Yeah. Listen, Phil, you're right. I feel like anytime that we've ever talked draft, you're always going, really? You're already talking draft? So Phil's not a draft nerd, and that's okay. Don't have to be a
No,
draft
that's fine. Look, Phil, if you want to come in and you want to in April, you want to talk draft with us then when like you're more into that mode, by all means, I will welcome you to have that conversation then.
Yeah. So, but yeah, listen. I just think figuring out the defensive line, re-signing Zach Bond, and figuring out that other linebacker position are your two top priorities. Priority number 3. What would you say after figuring
You came
out
up with 3 priorities there and said they were the 2 top priorities. You said re-sign Zach Bond, figure out the other linebacker spot, and defensive line. That's 3 priorities.
No.
Okay.
What I said was figure out the line.
Sure.
Priority number 1.
Okay, that's priority 1.
You're going to re-sign Zach Bond.
Okay, that's just a given. That's not a priority.
You need to still figure out that other linebacker position.
Yeah.
And then what is your third priority after that?
I'll stay on the defense, figuring out who's going to be CB2, assuming you're moving Quinyon Mitchell up to CB1 and Slay is going to probably be gone. I want to figure out who's CB2.
Well, maybe not. That could be.
Well, I mean, and if Slay is going to be CB2, that's fine too. We just need to figure out what that's going to be.
Okay. I agree on one level, but on one level I don't. That's my 4th priority.
Okay. So can I give you a second guess at the third priority?
Oh, come on. I know you already know where I'm going, but go ahead.
Tight end.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We did a mock draft last night. And shockingly, it did not. It didn't go my way.
Did you get Loveland? That's who you tried to go get.
Yeah. I wish. Yeah. No, but my guy, my number 2 guy, is actually not Loveland.
Okay, who is your number 2 guy then?
Harold Fanning Jr.
Okay.
Bowling Green, baby.
Oh,
this dude is he is an offensive player. I'll say this. Listen, he needs some help well rounding his game. Mm-hmm. But one thing he certainly is great at, it is pinpointing that ball and coming down with it and just bulldozing over MFers.
I like it.
He I believe he fully led the nation tight end wise. Tight end yards leader college 2024. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, he did. In fact, he set the record for most receiving yards and receptions in a single season.
I mean, I like.
Right. I love. And now, unfortunately, he didn't fall to me. But I did. I think I got, my number 4 or 5 guy. I got Mitchell Evans. And I also got Trey Harris, the wide receiver, in the 3rd round, who I really love from Ole Miss. Because I would love to get another weapon or 2. 1 tight end, 1 wide receiver.
Yes.
Dobson, you don't really know what you have with him. Is it usage?
Is he the agent?
No, we still have him.
Oh, okay.
Is it usage? Is it fit? Is it, hey, he just kind of came in the middle of the year? I'd like to figure out that.
Sure.
And I think regardless, Trey Harris coming in kind of fills the need of a guy that you can build up for potentially 2 years down the road when AJ Brown may or may not be here.
Right.
So that being said, but yes, I love me some tight ends. I unfortunately am mad that Tyler Warren's gotten a lot of love. I certainly loved him throughout the season, and he just kept rising and rising. And Loveland was my preseason number 1. Mm-hmm. He surpassed him quite a bit.
I would agree with that.
There's no way. There's no way he makes it into the 20s. I don't think so. But speaking of 20, it is 6:20. that is going to be it for us today. We got to pop on out of here. But let us know what you all feel. Hey, what up, Kobe fan? What is your favorite combine memory? Do you have one? Eric, real quick, before we get out of here, what is your favorite combine memory?
I'll just go a collection of one of my favorite things that they do every year at the combine is the dubbing in of like the races of different guys as a 40-yard.
Yeah,
And I love when they do the Rich Eisen 40 and then give him like, the 10-yard head start.
Yeah, a little head start. They dub
I love
people.
that stuff.
And they usually use Pat Mahomes, and Mahomes always like complains that they keep using him.
Right.
That's a great one. That is fun. I will say my favorite one at this point has to be Chris Jones.
That's a good one. I'll say one of my other favorite combine memories was when they had the fellow Philadelphia area podcaster, the one kid on the
Gio.
Yeah, Gio. When they had him on there, and when he just goes, "Hallie, for the love of God, get a linebacker." Whenever I hear that, I always think of you.
Well, listen,
kid after your own heart.
Not gonna lie, I may or may not have told him to say that, but whatever. Well, there'll be no proof of that, one way or the other. But yeah, he's actually there now, yeah, good on him for sticking with it, and he was at the Super Bowl, and good. He's going to Temple.
Which, I saw him, little Temple tough kid.
Well, listen, maybe you should do him and Temple proud, and maybe get back to some winning ways.
I need to figure that game out, man.
You do.
The game took 10 years off, and I feel like I took about 15 years off. I've been so bad at that game.
Good stuff. All right, folks. Well, we are going to get out of here. Thank you all so very much for joining us. It's off season. There's not a lot going on here. Obviously, we're all a little hungover from the Super Bowl, but once the draft starts to get a little closer,
then we'll start
lots of stuff to talk about. But please make sure, if you are already not following Eagles Pin Pull Network, not only on Facebook, YouTube is a great place, on Twitter, X, whatever we're calling it nowadays. Please make sure you are following Eagles Pin Pull Network. There are, I believe, a total of 9 shows throughout the week, from on the Shane page with my good buddy Shane and Johnny, to recapping some great Eagles stories with John Stolness, Birds of the Round Table, obviously our show, and Chalk Talk as well. So check it out. We're also on Spotify, Apple, wherever you get your podcasts, including this show. So make sure you download, give it a 5-star rating, and follow for more great Eagles content throughout the offseason. So, Eric, got anything to add before we pop on out of here?
No.
All right. Gotta love it. Appreciate it. So that's it for us. So for the Football Smack Talk show, I'm Ryan.
I'm Eric. Happy football, everybody. Only 190 days to go.
There we go. That's real easy. It's only a little over 6 months.
Yeah,
a lot. It's a lot.
Yeah, it is a lot.
But we'll do it together. We'll do it together, folks. One step at a time. We'll hit the combine.
That's right.
We'll get the combine this week. Yes. And then we'll hit the draft. And then we'll hit release, schedule release. And then we'll hit some OTAs. And then we'll hit that lull in the summer that really sucks. And then we all want to die, but it's summer. So it's awesome. So
we're at the beach getting drunk the whole time, just talking about football.
And then it's time for training.
Yeah.
So, all right, folks. We'll see you guys next week on the Football Smack Talk show. And go Birds.
Go Birds.